Well, folks, I've got 6:30, so let's kick this off. Welcome to the February Sip and Socialize. Welcome to all these guests. And our let's see, I'm seeing David, but I'm not seeing Jean just yet.
Jeannie's going to be on audio only. We're at two different locations, so I've got her
Right, but she will be popping in
Yes.
audio.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good. At this point, I would turn it over to Jeff Stavnis for an introduction to our speakers
Okay.
tonight.
Hello, everyone again. This evening we have two guests on our Sip and Social, Dave and Jeanie Vaudt, 1976 graduates of Upper Iowa. They've been very, very busy in the last 50 years or so. After graduation, Dave joined Pete Marwick Mitchell and Company and was in the accounting field for a number of years. Then he went on to serve as our state auditor for the state of Iowa. That was for about 10 years, Dave?
10 and a
Roughly?
half. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then from there, then you've gone on to chairman of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. And then you're also on the board of trustees at Upper Iowa. So you're a pretty busy guy. Jeanie is currently serves as a district court judge in Polk County. She was appointed to the bench in 2014. Prior to appointment, she served as a graduate law clerk to Justice Louis Laverado on the Iowa Supreme Court and was a litigation associate at Davis Brown Law Firm. And for the last 15 years of her practice, she was also an assistant attorney general in the Iowa Department of Justice. She's a member of the Polk County and Iowa State Bar Associations and member of the Jack Levine Inn of Court and past president of the C. Edwin Moore Inn of Court. And she currently serves on the board of the Iowa Judges Association. So I'd like to welcome Dave and Jeanie, and I guess we can take it from there.
Right.
Ron, were you going to
Thanks.
have everybody introduce themselves or something?
You want them to introduce first? You want us to go first?
Why don't we go ahead and have Dave start off, and we'll talk to everybody afterwards, after questions and answers.
Sounds good. I'm going to start with Jeannie. So you have to look at my face rather than hers. She doesn't have a camera, so you have to suffer through this with me.
Yeah, Dave told me I got to go first. That doesn't happen very often, so I'm taking him up on it. I'm looking at the list of things that we're supposed to talk about. I am a Fayette native, and I started college at UNI, and I came home my first year because my dad had suffered a really bad stroke when I was in high school, and my mom was having a little trouble adjusting to the fact that I wasn't around. And I'm an only child, so I decided to come back to Upper Iowa, and it was probably the best decision I could have ever made. I love sports. I played basketball, I played softball at the college level, and I met a lot of wonderful people, some of whom are still friends of ours today, including but not limited to the Stavnis boys. And I had a great time. I don't think I could have ever had a better college experience than the experience I had at Upper Iowa. And it gave me confidence to believe in myself that, if I worked hard enough and there was something I wanted to do and I had to, the only way I could get it would be for me to depend on me. If I worked hard enough, I would probably have a good chance of doing what I wanted. And that's kind of how my career worked out. As Jeff noted, I worked for Lou Laverado on the Supreme Court for 5 years. It was the first time they ever allowed anybody who was a law clerk, graduate law clerk, to stay for 5 years. And he and I couldn't have been more different in philosophy or backgrounds, but we just hit it off, and I learned a lot from him. And I'm a judge today largely because I had such a good mentor in him, and I owe him a lot. I trying to think what else I can tell you about my years at Upper Iowa. I was a head resident my senior year. Dave was a head resident his senior year, which we both graduated at the same time. Um, and that was, I could tell you some stories about that, but I won't, to protect the innocent. But that was quite an experience, I will say. Um, when I got out of law school and after I worked for Lou, I worked at Davis Brown, as Jeff said, and then I went to the Attorney General's office. I was always trying to get myself positioned so that someday I could put my name in for becoming a judge and hopefully get it. And at the end, it worked out. I worked really hard to get where I am. And I feel very lucky that I got to where I am because this is where I think I needed to be at this point in my career. Um, let's see here. Standout career accomplishments. Well, I've just always tried to be a good lawyer, a good judge, and a decent human being. When I took the oath of office for becoming a judge, we swear to administer justice equally to the rich and to the poor. And I think I've done that. I'm not going to tell you every day is easy and every decision's easy because that's not the case. But I've always tried to do right by people, and I think for me, it has turned out the way it was supposed to. And I can go back to Upper Iowa and say that was the start for me, because it was. So I'll turn it over to Dave.
Well, she didn't also tell you that supposedly she was going to retire this past January because there was a mandatory retirement age of 72. However, the legislature last session decided to change that mandatory retirement age to 78. So she's still dedicated and plans on working three more years, health allowing that. So she's still a very dedicated person, no doubt about that. A perfectionist at times. Um, I really ended up at Upper Iowa because of my twin brother. Coach Prohaska was recruiting Denny, my twin brother, to play basketball. So he and I went up there and did an overnight stay, and I was sold on Upper Iowa, even though my twin brother decided college wasn't for him. So it was probably the best visit I ever had. And I came from a very small high school. We had less than 100 in our high school. So coming to Upper Iowa was the right size for me. And I really found that because of the small classes and the ability to get to know your professors and stuff, it was a special time that you wouldn't find in a lot of universities. So it was very special from that standpoint. I remember my accounting courses primarily because one of our primary accounting instructors was Dr. Longley. And Dr. Longley loved to give exams. And he would stand up there and give us questions from CPA exams. And he would be smiling through the whole examination time, just watching us struggle to get through his questions. So, regretfully, some people started calling me Dr. Shortly because I was sometimes the top accounting student. So I got a little razzing over that. Had the great opportunity to join KPMG, what is the firm which is now KPMG. And I really walked into the office that first day, and there were 12 new people that started. And I saw these little groups talking to each other, and I thought, did they have an orientation and not invite me? But what I quickly found out, there was a group from Iowa, there was a group from Iowa State, there was a group from UNI, and there was a group from Drake, and then there was me. So no one knew me, but they all knew each other from their classes and stuff. But it was interesting because the very first week, the managing partner came in and talked to us, and he said, statistics prove that with 12 of you starting, only one of you will remain here and make partner. I remember looking around the room thinking, who will that be? Sure won't be me. But I did make it for the partnership and the only one for my group. In fact, within 5 years, everybody else was already moving on to something different to do. Great experience, lots of things that I learned after there, but I also found that my accounting courses really prepared me well to function in a public accounting firm and compete with those that came from larger universities and stuff. After 25 years at KPMG, I got this bug to run for elective office, and it was really spurred by I participated in a program called Leadership Iowa. And what they do is they bring participants from around the state in to learn more about the state and then encourage us to become active in our communities, even running for elective office. So at 25 years, I was eligible for early retirement from KPMG. So I took that giant step and ran for elective office. definitely enjoyed the experience. It was very grueling. Not having ever run for public office, I learned a lot in the process and I got to meet a lot of people. The most grueling part was raising the funds to actually run a campaign. You start by sending out letters to your family and friends. And amazingly, my one aunt got the letter and she called my mom and said, Mary, please explain to me why David quit a very good job and now he wants me to give him money so he can get a new job. So obviously, she wasn't real big on the whole political atmosphere. But I really learned a lot through that process. I traveled the state all the time and really enjoyed it. And it was because of my work at KPMG and then at the state auditor's office that I had several people approach me and say, there's a position open at the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. We think your qualifications are great. We think you ought to apply. So Jeannie and I talked about it. It meant me moving to Connecticut to live for a 7-year term if I got it. I went down for the first interview and thought, well, that was nice, but I'll never hear from them again. But a few weeks later, I was appointed the new chairman of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board in Connecticut. 7-year term, really enjoyed it, traveled the entire country, and got to meet a lot of really talented people in the accounting profession. So my whole career has been very unplanned. I would tell you when I got out of college, I could have never laid out a plan like this. But with the background that Upper Iowa gave me, it really gave me the opportunity to say, hey, if you work hard, put your head down and stay focused, you can do almost anything. So Upper Iowa prepared me so well. And now I really enjoy giving back to Upper Iowa by serving on the Board of Trustees and being able to see what's happening at Upper Iowa each year. It's amazing to go back on campus each year at homecoming. The memories come back. I remember at one of these other SIP and socials, I remember telling people about we had an individual that used to drink quite a bit, Philippe, and he got real drunk one night. We took him back in a car. We unloaded him by Maltby, but we were at the top of the hill. When we unloaded him, we let him on the ground and he rolled to the bottom of the hill. And Dean Gill was standing there saying, fine thing, fine thing. So those are some of my memories from Upper Iowa. Lots of great times, a lot of great friends, and it's great to see everybody. So I'll turn it back to you, Jeff.
Okay. I'll take, I really didn't think I was going to hear a reference to Phil the Jet tonight.
We'll never forget Phil the Jet.
Yeah. Anyone got questions? I'm impressed. We've got 7 people on this call that went to school with you and Jeannie at that time at one year or another that we crossed paths. So that's good support.
So Dave, John Stavridis here. I'll lead off with the first question. Is it true that you are also highly motivated by watching the antics of the guy that lived across the hallway from you, meaning one Jeff Burko? Did that motivate you to be a success when you saw him?
Yes, it did. And I can remember John and Burko lived across the hall from me. And many a times people would come to my room when it was time to study for an exam and try and steal my books so that I wouldn't ruin the curve on the exam. So we had a lot of fun basketball games within our room, a little basketball hoop that my roommate Carrie had. We had a lot of good times. Have to definitely laugh when it comes to Burko.
Yep. Biff, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when, Dave, you'll appreciate this, when the movie Animal House came out, I thought, there's nothing here I haven't seen before. This is a rerun.
So true.
Yeah.
And it's funny that it happened in Maltby instead of Garby.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Who else has questions for Dave?
Jeannie, Mike Solomons, here's a question for you. When you finally retire from judgeship, do you walk away clean, or do you, like a teacher or other professions, dabble in the justice system or the court system? Are you mandated just to sever the cord? What happens after retirement for you?
That's a really good question. I get to dabble. We have a senior judgeship program where you work about 25% of a regular workload, which will seem like a vacation, frankly. And I can do that for 6 years. So I'm going to do it at least for a while and kind of keep one foot in the practice because I think that's important. And I do, even though we have a lot of challenges in the judicial branch, I really do like what I do, and I believe I'm where I'm supposed to be. So that's not to say I don't have a list of things I want to do when I am not working full time, but I am going to do the senior judgeship, and we desperately need senior judges in Polk County. So that's kind of what my game plan is now. But there are other things I want to do too. And I'm already kind of putting a list together. I won't be sleeping until noon very often, I can tell you that.
That's great.
Anyone else jump in?
Actually, I have a question, Dave.
Sure.
So obviously here in Florida, I got very involved with my community, with especially ever since I became president of my condo. There was a lot of situations and I wasn't getting done. So one day I was out golfing and they paired me up with somebody, ended up being the main commissioner of the city I live in. I befriended him and helped me out and told me become a board member, and which I did. 3 years in now, obviously my community's gotten better, my condo. That being said, I'm actually becoming very involved along with my city too. And he's been inviting me to a lot of meetings with the mayor, all this, to a point that he's almost kind of putting stuff in my head for me to run for somewhere in the future. He sees me becoming a commissioner. So what's your advice? Meaning you kind of went similar, something like that. What's your advice?
I would say go for it. You will enjoy it. You will learn a lot. You'll meet a lot of great people. The connections that you make during that time frame and the way you grow in another avenue is really amazing. And like I said, the people that you meet is just impossible to do if you weren't running for office or serving an elective office. So, and you give back so much to your community, and you truly can make a difference by being there and having an active voice at the table.
All right.
Go for it. Keep me posted.
Well,
Daniel's a very valuable member of the alumni board. Does a great job for us. It's good practice. Good practice for becoming a commissioner someday.
see, well, it's running a building, dealing with a lot of homeowners. It could become very stressful, especially here in Florida after what happened with the building collapse. And I live in a condo, so now all these trying to explain to people why the HOA is going up and why we need all these what we need reserves, and it's a handful. And then obviously something always happens at the building. Every time I feel like I fix something, we fix something, something else breaks, or we have to deal with with the other cities and co-enforcement. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot the last 3 years I've been president.
Good for you.
And similarities, what Daniel's going through and what Dave did go through, you can look at the exact same issue, the exact same facts, and have people 180 degrees different on what those facts mean.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. You learn how to deal with a lot of different people and different perspectives.
Correct.
The big thing is always stay calm. Don't lose your composure, even if somebody's yelling at you and calling your names. Usually listen and instead, while I respectfully disagree with you.
No, I've been threatened already usually not by the homeowners, usually by the tenants when they know they're wrong. So you're right about that. I've learned a lot about being patient. Just smile and just nod your head and just be like, sorry to hear that, and move on.
Dave, Mike again. Question for you. What's next for you?
I'm keeping busy enough with the various boards I'm on. I'm on Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield of Iowa, Upper Iowa's board. I'm serving now on the Federal Accounting Standards Advisory Board out in DC, and a couple of not-for-profits. So I don't want any more on my plate. I've had other opportunities, but I've turned those down. But I really enjoy each and every one of those. But I enjoy also having some free time where I don't have to get up at a certain time or go to a meeting. But I've really enjoyed the board work and learning a lot through things that I had never been involved with before, like health insurance and stuff. So it's been a very educational process.
Okay, good.
Sounds very full-time.
So in other words, David, you're never going to retire.
Probably not too early anyway.
Dave and Jeannie, I'm going to turn this conversation sideways, so I hope everybody's prepared. But we're getting ready to celebrate 50 years for the class of 76. And trust me, I've gone through the yearbooks. 76 was a pretty wild time back then. What is something that maybe, and I'll open this up to anybody, what is something that maybe happened in 76 that would be kind of cool to bring back in 2026 for homecoming, in regards to maybe it was a tradition, maybe something you guys did as a group of students? Because I am on the homecoming planning committee, because if you work at Upper Iowa, you're on every committee. We would love to hear, what was it in 76 that you guys did where you just turned it loose, or whatever it may be, that maybe we could bring back for 2026?
Great question. I'll open that up. I'm sure maybe Mike or Terry have some things to add.
Well, you can't bring back the Peacock because I think that died in the teak basement one day, or was murdered, as the story goes. That's on a negative note. Yeah, that's a good question. As we ponder on that, as you bring that up, Mike, it always amazes me at the strength and the leadership that came out of our class that hangs around Upper Iowa today. Whether it's homecoming or looking at this screen right now, or just the things that our class still supports. And I think we have historically done a pretty good job financially supporting the school. I don't know. I guess I can't think of anything that was catastrophic was probably have a negative connotation. What happened? What happened the year we graduated? It was an Olympic year. I know that, because I was given Olympic tickets to the summer games in Montreal, and I gave those up to get married to the woman sitting to my right. So how's that perspective?
Waited 50 years to bring that up.
And Terry says he brings it up every year.
Yeah, I might need some help with that one. We may have to get back to you on Mike on that one.
One thing we could do is go back to the dressing clothes styles that we had back in those days, the bell bottoms and all that kind of stuff. Of course, those things swing around enough. They're starting to wear those again too now.
Yeah.
We had a lot longer hair back then too. So
Definitely.
I'll show up at homecoming with long hair. We could try to do that.
I think there were a lot of ball caps worn back then too.
I don't know if I remember anything catastrophic from 76. I graduated in 77, but the things that impacted me the most were, because I was part of the ROTC department, was doing some of the stuff that Sergeant Sinkovitz did. We went down the river rafting. We bounded down off the science building, rappelled off the science building. We did some really cool stuff. I remember there was a lot of the different fraternity groups that did like a pig roast. That stayed pretty high in my mind, since I'm originally from Long Island, New York, and we don't roast pigs like that. So those were kind of the things that stood out to me, and I always thought it was kind of interesting to have a parade downtown in Fayette. It was such a small town for me, coming from New York. It was like, wow.
Yeah, I do remember the pig roast for sure. And the ROTC color guard did a lot of things. We marched in parades. We did the football games. ROTC was a big part of the campus at that time. because it was still kind of new and novel. And yeah, it's too bad it got dismantled.
Yeah. Well, and then I think it kind of dovetailed with the athletics department because, Sink did all of the football. I remember drawing up all of the football plays, and I'd go like, I don't know what any of these mean. So they were safe with me because I had no idea, but that was part of my work study program.
I recall being about 12 bars in the city of Fayette at the time. I think, are we down to one now, or it's a lot fewer?
I even had I think everybody had a special glass that you could go in with your name on it at one of the bars.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get the bars to sponsor quarter pitchers like they were when we
Oh,
were.
yeah.
Wow, I remember dollar. I don't remember quarter pitchers.
We're a lot older than you, Ron.
Yeah,
Well,
we got
that's
started
true.
earlier.
That is true. But one of the reasons we're down to less bars is the age changed from 18 to 21 in
Yes.
Iowa.
Very true.
Ultimately, that was probably a good thing.
Well, one of my greatest homecoming memories would have been, this would have probably been 73, 4-ish. We had a bunch of guys in Maltby who all came from Fredericksburg. Now, so a couple of you are going to start laughing right away when I say that. Well, they decided the Friday night before homecoming that they didn't have dates to homecoming, but they had a better idea. They went out to a turkey farm between Sumner and Fredericksburg and borrowed 4 or 5 turkeys, put them in a gunny sack, brought them to town. The next morning, they painted them peacock blue and then brought them to the game as their dates.
Oh, my God.
So I've opened the discussion about ideas for homecoming. There's one.
Holy moly.
They took them back, though, all but one. They ate one of them, but they took the rest of them back.
Dave, how did you and Jeannie meet at Upper Iowa?
Ironically, we met when she started her freshman second semester at Upper Iowa. We met and knew each other for like 3 years, but probably when we were managing the dorms and spent the summer in Fayette together is when we kind of really started dating each other. So we knew each other as friends for a long time before we started dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the polite way to say it is that, we knew each other well enough that neither one of us could bullshit the other one. So that was kind of nice. And we actually met through Pam Robinson. Pam was my next door neighbor at Graf. And I bet I was back maybe 2 weeks before Dave and Pam were studying. And that's the first time I met him.
Do you have any contact with Pam these days?
No, the last I knew, she and Linda were in the Minneapolis area, but that's been a while ago. And I would really like to reconnect with her if anybody knows how, because she's a great person and I'm sure she's had a great life.
Yeah, I'd love to see her at a homecoming.
Yeah.
It's just hard to believe it's been almost 50 years already.
And Jeannie, I have to say hi. It's Jan Shellhammer, and I live down the hall from you and Pam also. So
Yeah.
my freshman year.
Yep. Graf was a great place.
Yes, it was. I still miss. I understand why they had to take the building down, but I still miss it every time I'm back on campus.
Yeah, I do too.
Was Pam class of 76 also?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. She was in
Okay,
our class.
well,
She'd be one we'll try to track down.
Yeah, let's work on getting her
Definitely.
back.
And Linda was 2 years behind us.
I think she was 78.
Didn't they come from like Manchester or Masonville? Or
They did. It was Masonville. And
maybe the way to find them to go back that way.
She has, let's see, she had 2 brothers too. And I had been to her mom and dad's farm, oh golly, a lot of times. And they, as you might expect, were lovely people too.
Well, hopefully we can get a big turnout of our class of 76. Anybody that wants to help, just let us know, because some of us are trying to pull a group together to bring a big group back for 76 to 26.
Yeah.
Well, good. We're issuing that challenge to 76 because 75 was a little light.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Oh, we'll do way better than that. I got an RSVP from Tim Bell the other day. If
Oh,
anybody,
you did?
yeah, if you remember him, he graduated in our class. He commuted from Owine, but in fact, he just got inducted in the Upper Iowa Coaching Hall of Fame here about a year ago.
Oh, nice.
Was that an RSVP for tonight or for homecoming?
Homecoming.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Yeah, for the reunion. Yep.
Yeah, he was one of Biff's best friends in Owine, which tells you something about Tim.
Yeah.
One thing Biff didn't do is he didn't drink.
No, he was too busy. Yeah. I guess a question I'd ask Dave and Jeanie, there are 17 people on this call. Probably there's 17 different stories about how we ended up at Upper Iowa. And I always think about that, and part of it was fate, and part of it was dumb luck, and part of it was choice. But one question I've got for Dave and Jeanie is, given your circumstances you came from, small towns, etc., if you were talking to a teenager today who was thinking about going to some place like Upper Iowa, what would you say to them? What would you say to them so that at least give it fair consideration?
I would say, first off, it's just the personal attention you get in your classes. It's unbelievable the interaction we had with our professors. I can remember going to professor's house, sometimes asking questions or whatever. They'd invite you down. I mean, it's just a different environment, but yet a great place to meet a lot of really nice people and small enough to get to know most everybody. I will tell you that as the assistant director of a dorm, when we had fire drills, that meant everybody had to leave the dorm. So that meant we had to use our pass keys to make sure everybody was out of their room. So sometimes
Ooh.
the next day you saw people with clothes that didn't have clothes when you opened the door. So it was kind of embarrassing at times.
So I'd ask Jeanie the same question. What would you say to some young person who was contemplating college in general and small private colleges? What would you say?
Well, I'm a little biased because I grew up on a farm south of town, about 2.5 miles south of town. Um, and I think part of me knew it at the time, but I hadn't really been out in the world enough to nail it down while I was still in school. But, you know, that part of Iowa just, it's kind of idyllic in a way. Um, I, my, when I was in high school, my friends and I would do stupid things. We wouldn't do illegal things. We'd just do stupid things. And we could walk around town at midnight and not have to worry. I don't know that you can still say that today about Fayette, but I certainly hope you can. It was, I mean, if you go to a small private college like Upper Iowa, I think anybody who has even a little bit of gumption, for them, the sky could be the limit because as Dave said, the faculty is always accessible. People want you to succeed. For me, it was kind of a more sophisticated extension of my high school experience. And I, knowing what I know now about how I grew up and where I grew up, I just consider myself really lucky because growing up on the farm was a great place. Being in town was a great place. And I spent quite a bit of time at the college while I was growing up, because for, I don't know, probably 10 years, the faculty would have these kind of specialty 2 or 3 week classes that local kids could apply for and go to if they were accepted. And I learned some Italian, I learned um, some other things. I mean, it was just, it's a part of Americana that I'm afraid is going away. And I really hope that anybody who's interested in going to college, and college is much different these days too than college was for us, as you all know. Um, I would certainly go to a small school again. I would. And
Yep.
Upper Iowa is as good as any of them.
Yep. Well said. Thank you.
Yes, great answers.
Dave,
Any other Go ahead,
Dave,
Jeff.
yeah, Dave, Board of Trustees working on any big projects or anything like that?
No, I mean, I think the Board of Trustees really works well together. I've been on the board for about 5 years now, and just staying in tune with all the challenges facing private colleges today, small private colleges. There's a lot of competition for students, and obviously, our online program during the pandemic got a lot of other people involved in it, so there's a lot more competition. So we're always looking at ways to create partnerships and continue to make Upper Iowa the place that everybody goes to. And I was excited to see the new degree program where you can do it in 3 years and stuff. I think that's a great initiative that Upper Iowa is putting out there. So hopefully we'll get some more attention with that too.
Mhm. We've been meeting with the admissions folks here. We've had a couple of meetings. There's some good folks working there right now.
Yep.
Came in with a really good experience in the admissions field. And from what I understand, applications are way up this year, like I think more than double what they were last year.
Great.
Wow,
We like that.
that's great news.
I guess I'll jump in and add an addendum to what I said too. And again, college is much different for a lot of people today than it was for us, but I would never ever pass up the dorm experience, never. Because one of the best things about living in a dorm, in addition to the fact you get to know other people who are living around you, you learn how to live peacefully with people who maybe don't see the world the same way you do. And that's a life lesson that everybody has to learn if you're going to be successful. And I don't quite, I can understand sometimes when it's a financial thing for people, that's legitimate. But I would never ever pass up the opportunity to go away to college and live in a dorm.
Mhm.
I agree because
Well said.
you get an educational experience in the dorm and then a book educational experience in the classroom.
Yep.
Yep.
Grow up both ways.
And who knows, you may get to roll your drunk friend down a hill.
That wasn't on purpose.
No, but we did laugh.
Oh.
Occasionally people would borrow dinner trays out of the cafeteria and use those for sleds
Floods,
in Mulvey Hill.
The hill's still there.
Jeff or John, does anybody know what happened to Phil the Jet?
Oh boy. No, I don't.
No,
I think he's
I
playing
sure-
professional street hockey or something.
imagine we could just Google the FBI's crime lab and they'd probably know exactly where he is.
Probably looks the same.
I'm assuming the statute of limitations has passed, but some of us may or may not still have an Upper Iowa tray.
Well, I think, Phil the Jet was in our class, so we'll try to track him down for the reunion.
Yeah.
We'll see if he's.
Well, you could make him could you make him like the parade marshal or something like that?
If we told him he was going to be the parade marshal, maybe he would come back. We're going to tell everybody that.
Does anyone remember his last name?
C.A. Caron.
Philippe Caron.
Yeah.
Oh,
He used to
Yeah.
spend hour after hour over in Dorman because he was just sure Coach Prohaska had completely missed him on his talent search, and that all Coach had to do was see him, and it was over.
He
Yeah, 'cause
loved to play basketball with us.
Coach needed a club-footed basketball player.
Yeah. Well, he played basketball, but taking showers wasn't a big thing for him.
No, was not.
So I have a question. Am I the only odd kid that attended Upper Iowa online and on a military installation?
On a military installation here, yes, but you're not the only online student here.
Okay. Okay. I was
Danny.
just curious. I was just curious.
Danny John was online.
Awesome.
Great.
So sorry you missed out on some of these stories.
Oh, no, I have my own stories of barracks life in the military, and I'm pretty sure they're quite comparable. And I did live in a dorm when I attended Rice, and I wouldn't trade my military barracks life for university life for anything.
But for several of us know each other. For those that don't, Dina is a new board member for the Alumni Association,
Welcome.
Great,
Dave.
welcome.
just starting a new term.
Thank you.
And Mr. Hyman, please introduce yourself. You're on mute.
Yep, there you go.
Thank you.
Jim Hyman, class of 76. I at the Upper Iowa, I transferred in after junior college, but Coach Pro was my high school basketball coach. I played football there for Sarge, ROTC. I don't know if you remember Pat Breckenridge. He was a trainer. He passed away, unfortunately, this summer. He and I kept in touch. He was in nursing home for about the last 3 years of his life in Kansas. And so I'd go up to visit him about once a month. We talk about weekly. And he passed away. It'd been a long illness. So he's in comfort now. And Jim Maziotti, I don't know if anybody knows him from Old Wine. He and I still stay in touch. The Torkelsons that were at Upper Iowa, they're still my buddies. And that's where I'm in Texas now currently. I worked with the YMCA for my career, and my wife, Emily, I met at Upper Iowa. And Denise Brady, Emily Brady, they were from Old Wine area. Denise and I Emily and I are still married, 44 years or so. So life is good. We've been blessed. Everything's good. I'm looking forward to getting back to Upper Iowa for the homecoming. I'm not so sure my bride is, but I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Good to see you again, Jim.
Have you been back? Jim, have you been back recently?
A couple of years ago, I know I played in the tournament one time with Doc and Vega and the Hall of Fame. I forget what his real name is. We called him Hall of Fame baseball player for a pro. But then I've been back once or twice, probably the last 10 years is all. So
okay.
Beautiful campus, unbelievable campus. So
welcome back.
Yeah, we don't get up north very often in the wintertime, just in the summer.
Well, good. Hope to see you this fall.
Hopefully be there. I've got the dates. October. I was looking at my calendar here.
8, 9, 10.
Yeah, the weekend 10, right? of 10/10. Mm-hmm.
Yep, got it. Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Any other questions for David or Jeanie? This has been great reminiscing in addition to our guest speakers.
Dave, Jeanie, I've got a question. With your busy careers, one could only imagine that you've got lots of, irons in the fire. So can you kind of talk about, just the importance of staying connected to Upper Iowa and even just, being part of the board, Dave, and being at events and showing your support in other ways? Kind of talk a little bit about what that means to you or how you would encourage others. I mean, obviously here we've got individuals who have tons of different, backgrounds and stories to share, either as an online student or a center student. So just maybe talk about maybe just the notion of staying connected and what that means to you.
David is on mute and Jeanie is speaking through him.
Okay, I've got her on now.
Okay.
Go.
I kind of cheat because I keep track of Upper Iowa through Dave since he's semi-retired and I'm not. He kind of keeps me informed. And when we get the bridge, I always look at the bridge and see if there's anybody in there that I know or what's going on with people. Let's see, how do I say this? In my particular circumstance, I'm a state trial court judge in District 5, but 5C is actually just Polk County. It's a separate subgroup of District 5 all by itself, and there's a really good reason for that, which is we have more volume than any other courthouse in the state. So when Dave says I'm busy, he means it. I'm busy. I'm really busy. And if I told you, if I gave you figures about the workload in terms of what that boils down to for me and each of my 16 colleagues, you wouldn't believe it. So it's just easier for me because I know he'll keep track and he'll tell me what I need to know. But, remembering that this was my hometown, I have a real soft spot for Fayette and for Upper Iowa, because, but for the fact that we were both there, I'd like to think that somehow in the universe we would have crossed paths sometime. But, I met the love of my life and my best friend. So and as I said, I keep track through him, and so far he hasn't steered me wrong.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I've enjoyed participating in the events that Alumni puts on in different communities and stuff when you come to Des Moines and so forth, because it's always interesting to see who might be there and stay in contact. The other thing is with so many people that have actually attended Upper Iowa, I can't believe when I wear my Upper Iowa gear, people say, "Oh, I went to Upper Iowa," or "My son did," or whatever. So there's a lot of Upper Iowa graduates out there that really know us and stuff. And I just found that the opportunity to give back to Upper Iowa that gave so much to me during my 4 years there, making sure that I make some contributions and being able to serve on the board of trustees is just one way that I like to be able to give back. But I encourage everybody to stay in tune. It's sad that we get busy with our lives and we lose contact with a lot of people, but we haven't lost our friends. We just need to reconnect, and this is a great way to do it, is through the alumni.
Very well said.
Well, I've been waiting to hear from the King of Fayette, Tom Petchy. He's sitting there quietly in this call, and I just can't. I'm just waiting and waiting, hoping he'll give us some wisdom.
Well, I was just going to say to Jeanie that I had the honor of both going to high school and college with her. And she mentioned several times being lucky. Well, she never was lucky. She just worked extremely hard. And she talked about athletics, and I saw her play basketball and softball, and she was extremely competitive. And I think those two things really helped her tremendously, and has not changed, obviously. So,
well, Tom, that's very nice of you to say.
Just speaking the truth.
Hey, David, Tom Weber. I too have been involved with politics from time to time. Being on Walt Griffin's campaign staff, a former history professor at Upper Iowa, who was running for Secretary of State, and I'll agree with you that you get to know a lot of people and a lot of fun, but you win very seldom. So did you know Walt?
I was very fortunate. I ran 3 times and was successful in all 3 campaigns. So,
So, Mike Schrock, if we think of some outrageous story, prank, legacy that you could use, we'll reach out to you. You've put a bug in my head. I'll start thinking.
Yes, and we will make it happen. We will recreate it.
Good. We want this to be unique and big.
I'm sure it will. Any last questions for Dave and Jeanie?
I will just say to both Dave and Jeanie, you made us proud, kids. So hats off to you. You've definitely put another mark into the class of 1976. So I personally thank you both.
Well, right back at you guys. We had a lot of very good people in the class of 76 and all the other classes too. So a lot of success by graduates of Upper Iowa.
Well, thank you all. Great stories, great guests. Appreciate you all joining the call tonight. Be safe wherever you're at. And that concludes our sip and social. You can now add something to your drink.
See everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Great seeing
Bye,
everybody.
everyone. Thank you for joining.